Come on in, everybody. I'm gonna give a full breakdown of the Zodiac tonight. Full breakdown of the Zodiac. For all the Zodiac, the astrology people out there, come on in. Let us have a conversation. I'm gonna give you a full breakdown of the entire Zodiac from beginning to end. Full breakdown of the Zodiac. What's going on, F Monster? Good, my brother. I'm gonna give a full breakdown of the Zodiac tonight. Let's see if those who have been studying astrology can synchronize with this information that I'm gonna share. And I just meditate on the stuff that I'm gonna share tonight. It's not from any books, so hopefully it makes sense. All right, I'm gonna wait for a couple more people to come on in. Peace, peace, peace. What do y'all know about the Zodiac or astrology? We know it's not an exact science, but the ancient people, our ancient ancestors, our ancestors really, left this information for us to figure out some things. And so far, we don't really all have it. What's going on, Ruth? We don't all have it together, but I'm gonna share this information and just give people some insight into a deeper aspect of the Zodiac, and hopefully it makes a lot of sense. Now, the Zodiac is telling a story. It's called the Zodiac zoology, which is dealing with the study of life. So, for those of us who grew up in religious homes or whatever, we all, or read the Bible, we all grew up hearing about the book of life. Peace, Queen. The book of life is the Zodiac. That's what the Zodiac is. Thank you, everybody, for coming in. Please stay for this bill. I'm gonna go through the Zodiac tonight and just give some very, very detailed information about what it's really telling us. It's a book. The Zodiac is a book. It's a book that our ancestors basically created that can't be tampered with. A lot of the stuff that's on the earth here, including us, we change. We get older. New generations of us come along and we change things. We chisel off the noses off the statues. We write over things. We just change the stories up. But what they did is they created the story and they put it in the stars where nobody could touch it. And so that's why it survived for so long. So being that is a story, where does the story begin? I believe most people have it completely false in terms of saying that it begins with Aries or thereabout. The story does not begin in Aries. The story really begins in Libra. Libra. That's where it begins. And the thing with the system is that it's the same thing with the planets. There are 7 planets that were focused on in the ancient world. They call them the 7 governors. Today, we call them the 7 days of the week. And, every civilization from throughout antiquity has always, named their what's going on, white collar? Have always named their days or for these planets. So the first day, obviously, we call it Sunday, named after the sun. The second day is called Moon, Monday. Then Tuesday is named after Mars, Martes. Wednesday is named after Mercury, Woden, right? And Thursday is named after Jupiter, who's associated with the Norse god Thor, or Thor's Day. Friday is named after Freya, which is Venus, and Saturday is named after Saturn Day, right? So the story begins in Libra, and this is why the Jewish calendar begins in September versus the spring, right? It all begins with El. So if you was telling a story like, for example, they have the creation story that everybody follows, which covers 7 days, right? The creation story, if you have 7 things the oldest thing would be the thing that has been there the longest. So 1 would not be there the longest. 7 would be there the longest. 7 has been there for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? So it would start off with 7. The seventh one is called Saturn or Saturday. And in the ancient world, they call Saturn El, right? And so you just work the story backwards. But in the zodiac, El is Libra, El Ibra, right? Libra. There goes the L. You know, sometimes you can write L with an EL, or you just write it with the symbol, you know, the L symbol. So Libra starts it off. Libra represents the law. The law is the word. That's what Libra is. It's the word. You know, that's where you get your thing. I think in the book of John where it says, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word became flesh and dwelt among us." So the word is the law. And that's why Libra is represented by scales, justice, right? And Libra is represented by the planet Saturn, right? That's why in Revelation, of the four horses that come out, the black one, the pitch black one, the rider is carrying scales, and that's for Libra, because Saturn represents that darkness. Saturn is the 7th day. And what happens on the 7th day? According to the creation story, on the 7th day, God rested. When do you rest? You rest in the night, in the darkness, right? So that's why Libra is associated with Saturn, and why it represents justice, and judges wear black, and you know, it also represents priests and kings and all those things, because those are the people in civilizations past that would give people justice. You know, before we had democracies and the kind of societies that we live in now, you had societies that were ran or governed by priests or kings, right? Those are the people that gave you justice. So that's why Saturn is the one who grants those people that authority. And if you go throughout history, you'll see that the color black is usually associated with those things. So our judges, for example, wear what kind of robes they wear? They wear black robes. So the zodiac begins with Libra, L, and then from Libra you go to Virgo, or V, right? Because we don't go in the direction that we go in terms of how the year moves. Like we go January, February. No, we go the zodiac goes the other way. So it starts off with Libra, which is Saturn, and then it goes to Virgo, which is Eve. Eve is Venus, right? So this is I'm gonna try to tie this all up together, and it might get a little convoluted, but just stay with me, because it will all make sense. So start off with Libra, which is the law, right? Then you go to Virgo. Virgo is Eve, the mother of all living. That's what they call her in the book, right? Virgo is the pregnant virgin. So after Virgo, you go to Leo. Leo is basically her son, right? That's the first child, the firstborn. She gives birth to a son, and it's called Leo. Now look at the word Leo. Leo is spelled Leo, but you know in English the vowels are interchangeable. So you could change the E to an I, and instead of having L-E-O, you have L-I-O, right? And then the L can be written as a E-L. So you put E-L-I-O, right? You have Elio. You put an H in there in front of that E. Now you see it's Helio or Helios. Helios is what they call the sun in Greek. It was the word for the sun in Greek. So you go from the word from L, from Libra to Virgo to Leo. And Leo is a sun sign, right? After Leo, you go to Cancer. Cancer is when summer really begins. Summer begins June 21st. And that's where Cancer begins. Then after Cancer, you go to Gemini. After Gemini, you go to Taurus, Aries. Then you get Pisces. After Aries, you have Pisces. Then you have Aquarius, Capricorn, Sagittarius, and Scorpio, and the cycle completes. So, what is the story here? So we start off with the father, L, right? Then you get Eve. Then you go to Leo. Then you go to Cancer. Now, I want to kind of look at some of these words to kind of explain some things about them, because some of the terminologies we don't understand, and we have to also use math, a little bit of math, to kind of see some of the patterns that exist. For example, there are 3 loops inside of the zodiac, three cycles, right? And I'm gonna tell you what they are. The first one, I'm gonna go through the elements loop, and the elements loop would deal with, like, the 4 elements, which are water, earth, wind, and fire, or whichever order you want to say them in. But those are the 4 elements. So, and what you're gonna notice with these signs is that they're based on our gestation periods as human beings, like how our mothers, the amount of time our mothers take to fully come to term before they deliver us into the world. They're separated by 9 months. So Leo, for example, is fire, right? 9 months from Leo, you end up in Taurus. Now I want you to look at the word Taurus. I just brought down Leo to you to show you that Leo is the sun, because the word Leo is helio, or helios, for sun. Then you go 9 months from Leo. Coming in next. I'm just letting in my dog. He's outside. You go 9 months from Leo, and you end up in Taurus. Taurus, the word Taurus is literally terror, right? Taurus. You could change the A and the U to an E because they're vowels. And you could change the U after the R to an A. You get terror. That's why Taurus represents earth. And it's represented by a calf, right? By a baby bull. And the reason why that is because cows or calf or those kind of animals, they graze the land. So we know that Taurus represents the earth. So Leo, Elio, Helios, fire for the sun, Taurus for the earth. 9 months from Taurus, you end up in Aquarius. Aquarius, right? Aquarius is the water bearer. There you go again. So that's self-explanatory. Aquarius is the water bearer. That's water. So I'm just going through the elements loop first. Then 9 months from Aquarius, you end up in Scorpio. Scorpio, obviously the last one has to be air. And that's why, in certain cultures, Scorpio is represented by a phoenix or by an eagle. So one place where you can see this element loop is in the book of Revelation, where they talk about the 4 beasts, right? One beast had the face of a lion, one had the face of a calf, one had the face of a man, and the other had the face of an eagle. And people take these literally and think these are monstrosities that are gonna, these are the 4 beasts of the apocalypse, and they're just like hideous creatures. But they're really talking about the elements, because the one with the face of the lion is Leo. The one with the face of the calf is Taurus. The one with the face of a man is Aquarius, and the eagle is Scorpio. So there goes the elements loop. So that's the first. There's 12 signs. So there's 3 loops. So I just gave you the first loop, right? So if you're born in any one of those signs, I guarantee you can find some very interesting things about your life if you start to study and look personally, and at your mother, your father, your brothers, your sisters, even the people that you have as friends. You'll see, because it's magnetism. There's a magnetism between all of us based on the time that we were conceived and the time that we came out of the womb. I don't want to sidetrack too much, but so I just gave you the elements loop. I gave you Leo for fire. I gave you Taurus for earth, Aquarius for water, Scorpio for air, right? The next loop is really like more like the seasons, you know, like winter, spring, summer, and fall, right? And these next four signs that I'm gonna give you, they start off exactly on when those seasons start. So I call these the loop that deals with the seasons, right? So the first one would be Libra. Libra begins September 21st, which is fall. Exactly. Then the next one, 9 months from Libra, you end up in Cancer. Cancer begins June 21st, which is summer. 9 months from Cancer, you end up in Aries. Aries begin March 21st, which is spring. 9 months from Aries, you end up in Capricorn. Capricorn begins December 21st, which is winter. So there you go. You have your elements loop, right, which is Leo, Taurus, Aquarius, and Scorpio. Now you have your seasonal loop, which is Libra, Cancer, Aries, and Capricorn. Right? The last loop now is probably one of the most interesting loops, because, and it's not that any one of them are better. All of them play a part in this grand tale, this grand story. And there's many different ways that these stories are told, you know, because you know when you can look into the book and read it, you can see many different ways to express the same thing. So the last one now is, to me, I call it the mother and her son, the mother and the child. That's the mother and the child loop, right? So this loop begins with Virgo. Virgo is the pregnant mother. That's why they call Virgo the you know, and they talk about the immaculate conception or whatever, right? And throughout the story that we read in the Bible and many other places, it's always a mother and her son, right? A mother and her son. That's what they say, right? Even in Revelation, they talk about the woman being pregnant and she's being pursued by this red dragon, and she's supposed to give birth to a man child, right? What is a man child called? A man child is called a son. But we just like we take things so literal that we can't see the allegory in what they're really trying to tell you. And I'm gonna show you where the mother and her son is, because another way to look at it, another way to say it, is the moon and her son. The moon and her son, and we see the moon and her son every single day, but we don't realize that's what we're looking at, right? So it starts off with Virgo. So the pregnant virgin, 9 months from Virgo, you end up in what? You end up in Gemini. And it's no accident that you end up there, because now you have two people, and this is the only place you see two people. So you had a pregnant woman, and then 9 months later you have two people. But people, I don't know if it's by just stupidity or whatever, they, you know, or just misunderstanding. They believe Gemini is twins. Gemini is not twins. Gemini is the mother and her son. That's the woman and her child. It's not twins. It's not, you know what I mean? And even the word Gemini, I'm going to break that word down as well. Gemini, if you look at the word Gemini, you see G and Mini, right? You know, people think it's Gem in I. No, it's G and Mini. Okay? So G is Geo or Gia, Earth, right? And Mini means small, right? So Earth and Mini, with Mini, in the word Mini you have mind or man. So Earth and a small man, right? The Earth is the woman and the small man is her son. That's what the Mini is. Okay. So 9 months from Gemini now, where do you end up? We went from two people. 9 months from there, we end up in Pisces to two fishes. So the two people become two fishes, right? I'm just trying to make the connection so you can see all of this stuff as clear as you know it is, because it's there for you to observe it if you just pay attention. So the pregnant woman gives birth to a son, end up as two people. 9 months from there, they end up as two fishes. Why did they become two fishes? When you read the mythology behind it, you find out that there was Hera and her son were being persecuted, and to escape the persecution, they transform into two fishes to get away, right? So it's a mother and a son again. So 9 months from Pisces, you end up in Sagittarius. Sagittarius is another way to look at is actually a woman on a horse with a crown and a bow and arrow. She's hunting. She's a protector, and in some stories, Sagittarius is represented as a character as a Artemis. Artemis is called the protector of the child. So you see, it's the same thing going on. You have the woman, the pregnant mother. 9 months later, she and her son is there as Gemini. 9 months later, they become two fishes. And 9 months later, you see the woman again protecting. She's the protector, right? The protector of her child. So that's the last loop. That's the very, very last loop. Now, there's some very interesting things that are going on inside of the zodiac that you need to pay attention to. And this kind of they find their way inside of like a lot of religious texts, and people just take them literal. Like when Jesus said, "Beware of the wolf in sheep's clothing," what is he talking about? Right? I'm gonna tell you exactly what he's talking about. He's talking about Aries. Aries is the wolf in sheep's clothing. Aries is another word, is what in Greek, that's what they call the planet Mars. And Mars is the god of war. But here you have Mars in spring, right? Spring is where life, everything is coming back alive. And Mars is a destructive force. Mars doesn't bring life. Mars brings death. But Aries is represented as a ram or a lamb. So it's a trick. Beware of because Mars is really a wolf, but he's dressed up as a sheep. He's represented as a sheep or as a lamb or whatever, right? So beware of the wolf in sheep's clothing. Now, there's so much things that's going on in the zodiac that you can write like, encyclopedias upon encyclopedias, and you wouldn't be done just trying to looking at everything, right? Let's look at Aries a little bit. I look at Aries, and Aries comes out of Cancer. 9 months from Aries or before Aries, you have Cancer, right? They're 9 months apart. Cancer is a fire sign because, like I said, Cancer is when summer begins. And Cancer is also, in terms of just like literally, Cancer, the word Cancer, like how we use it today, it represents death, right? It's deadly. So you have fire and death, and that's the pit. That's what Aries comes out of. It comes out of like this fiery death. So Aries, has that nature. That's where it gets his nature. It gets his red hot nature from Cancer, and he's deadly, right? Very violent. Cancer is a tiny little crab, but has a large effect on things. You know what I mean? And it's also a water creature. Pisces, like I said, it spawned two fishes, which are two people that we call Gemini, and Pisces is 9 months from Gemini. So we already went over that, and we talk about Virgo, the pregnant. Gemini comes out of Virgo, which is 9 months from Gemini, right? We talk about Leo already. Let's see, what else is there? Oh, the two fishes, right? When you look at the two fishes in Pisces, you notice that they're going in two different directions, right? One is going to the left, one is going to the right. Now, the two fishes just represent, one represents the sun and one represents the moon. One is going towards Aquarius, the water, and the other one is going back towards Mars, right? The red hot Mars. So one of them is just telling you that one is going to the water, one is going to the fire, right? Aquarius is the water. The water is the mind. Like, I want people to fully understand this. The water is the mind. Come back again. Come back again. Send me the request again. Send me the request again. Ori, send me the request again. I missed that. Yeah, the water is the mind, you know, and the mind is characterized as man, right? So man is mind is water, water is controlled by the moon. We have to understand these things. That's why when you're crazy, they tell you that you're a lunatic, you're a lunartic, because the water is controlled by the moon. The moon controls the mind. The moon, and it's just that simple. I don't have to go too deep into it, but that's what's going on. So yeah, you have the moon, and I want to go to the Capricorn. Capricorn is a mix of earth and water, right? When you look at Capricorn, you're looking at a mix of earth and water, because you have the sea goat. It's called a sea goat. He has a fish tail and has the head of a mountain goat. I had the body of a mountain goat, or upper part of a mountain goat. So what is that? The goat is a land animal. That's earth, right? And the fish tail is a water animal. So that's water. The water is controlled by the moon. So I'm just trying to connect the planets so you can see the planetary connections as well. So Capricorn is basically earth and moon. And the moon is cold, right? The light from the moon is colder than the light from the sun. So Capricorn happens in the winter, right? Even though it's 9 months from Aries, it's more. I feel like it's more connected. Capricorn is more connected to Taurus, and Taurus really is the earth. That's what the word Taurus literally means earth, terra us, right? You just have to understand that the vowels in these words are interchangeable. So you have Taurus, but you could change the A or the U to an E, and the R is still there, and you have terra us, right? Terra means earth, right? Aries as the horns of the ram. Capricorn is part goat. Goats and calves and cows and bulls, what they do, they graze the land. And the land becomes fertile again after when? After leaving the grasp of winter. Okay, you're Aquarius. Okay, Aquarius is dealing with the mind. That's what Aquarius is, the water. That's why we're in the age of Aquarius right now, where they say it's the information age. The information is coming from the mind, The mind is the water. So if you understand what I'm saying to you, then you will clean up your water. You'll make sure that you don't put. You be very, very careful what you put inside of your body as water, because that is your mind. It's not people be pointing up here. That's just no. It's the elements we're working with. The mind is the water. The spirit is the air that you breathe. The air that you can't see but you can feel, that is the spirit. That's why it's called, if you look up the definition for it, it means breath. Spirit means breath, air. So, we're living in a reality that we can understand once we begin to put the pieces together, right? The system that we really are in is if you really break it down to the nitty-gritty, you have the sun, you have the moon, you have the earth, and you have the sky, right? Or the air. That's what you're dealing with. That's it. The sun is the fire, the moon controls the water, the earth is the physical reality, and the air is the spirit. All right, so let me finish up with this Capricorn thing a little bit. So Capricorn comes from Aries. Aries is the spring, which basically is when it happens after we come out of the death, the cold death of winter, right? Which is ruled by Capricorn. It's a time when the sun is very, very low and the world is basically in darkness, right? Remember I told you earlier that darkness, is during the time where we rest. That's the time we rest. And that's the seventh day. The seventh day is Saturn. And Saturn in the ancient world was called El. So this is where Saturn's well. That's why they tell you that Capricorn is the house of Saturn, right? Because it represents the winter, it represents the darkness. Okay, that's why they tell you that. And You get to Sagittarius. Sagittarius is basically the final part of the Virgo cycle. You know, Virgo completes her cycle. It goes from Virgo to Gemini to Pisces to Sagittarius, right? So you look at, to me, what I see is, I just see the four different representations of the same thing, right? Virgo gives birth to Leo. Gemini gives birth to Taurus. Pisces gives birth to Aquarius, and Sagittarius gives birth to Scorpio. It's the same energy. You understand what I'm saying? You have to just think about it like Virgo is Eve. Gemini is all of these are female energies. Virgo, Gemini, Pisces, Sagittarius. They're female energies, right? So Virgo give birth to Leo. When I say give birth to Leo, the sign that comes after Virgo is Leo. The sign that comes after Gemini is Taurus. The sign that comes after Pisces is Aquarius. The sign that comes after Sagittarius is Scorpio. And it's very, very interesting if you really, really get down to it, because you're dealing with different forms. You're dealing with and it breaks down like this, because Leo is the lion. Taurus is the bull, right? Pisces is the man. Pisces gives birth to the man, and Sagittarius gives birth to the eagle. So let's look at it. Look at Gemini. Gemini, remember I tell you that it is Geo and Mini. So it's small Earth, or it's Earth and small and small man, right? That's what it means. Gemini means Earth and small mind or small man, right? And that's why it gives birth to Taurus, who is represented as a calf, as a small bull. Small bull. That's what a calf is. A calf is a small bull, right? Because it falls underneath the Gemini energy. And that's what it is. A small bull is basically a son, a son. Because Virgo, you know, that's it. That's the whole thing, is she is the woman and her son, right? The woman and her child. That's what this last loop is about. The woman and her child. And that's what you read about in Revelation, about the woman and her child, her man child. And the man child is a son. But, you know, in a more direct way, if you really want to see this, you just go outside every day and you see it. You see the moon and her son. That's what you're looking at. The moon and her son, right? So you have the lion, you have the bull, you have the man, the eagle. The sun, earth, moon, air. Another way to look at it, fire, land, water, air. Another way to look at it, soul, body, mind, spirit. We can understand these things and see them in a literal sense and in a figurative sense, right? The soul is the fire. This is why we call our system a solar system. Solar, dealing with the sun. The soul is the fire. Okay? It's not some, you know, mythical thing that, you know, you can't understand. The soul is the fire. But what is the fire? Fire is energy. That's what fire is. Right? That's what fire is. Whenever you give off energy, whenever anything is giving off energy, what the byproduct, whenever anything is actively outputting energy, the byproduct of that output of energy is heat or fire. That's why if you start jogging right now in place and start actively doing something, your body is going to get hot. If you drive your car from A to Z, the engine is going to get hot, because that's what happens. So we're in this. The reason why the sun is hot, because it's giving off a lot of energy, and without that energy, nothing here can subsist. Nothing here can survive or live or anything, right? So we get heat from the sun because of the massive amount of energy that it's putting out. But that's not the only thing that the sun is giving us. The sun is giving us a whole array of stuff, a whole array of different wavelengths and frequencies. It's allowing us to even use the phones and turn on our TV and use all the, because, you know, you get the X-rays, you get your infrared waves, you get your radio waves. All of that comes from the sun, right? Sun is a massive unit of energy. And so we get a lot of heat from it as a byproduct. So yes, the soul is the fire, or we call it soul. In Latin, they call the word for sun in Latin was sol, S-O-L, soul. You understand? Soul, and that's why we call it the solar system, the system of soul, right? System of souls. Then the next thing is the earth is the body. That's what we call our body is the earth. It comes from the earth, right? We feed it with things from the earth, right? When we die, it goes back to the earth. The body is the earth. Whatever you plant in the body, right, you reap it back. So if you put junk into your body, you're gonna get that, right? If you put health into your body, you get health. Then the mind, which is the water. There's so many different ways that I could break this down, and the simplest way is to just for you to understand that the water is controlled by the moon, right? Now, when you look at the word mind, M-I-N-D, you see the I that's in between the M and the N? You can change that to an A. It's man. Mind and man are the same thing, right? And man is what? Man is mostly made of water. You're 80%, 75 to 80% water. You are majority water. So if you're majority water, whatever your majority are, that's what you are. You're water. And you are controlled by the moon. The waters of the earth is affected by the moon, controlled by the moon, literally, right? And this is why the moon cycle that women have, right? It's called what? It's called a menstrual cycle. Men, you understand? Or menses, because it's dealing with the moon, but again, the word for it is not moonstrual, it's called menstrual. You understand what I'm saying? And then when you're dealing with your mind, right? When you're dealing with anything with your mind, we call it mental. Mind and man is the same thing. Man is mind, right? Man is water. Just understand that mind is water and man is water. And we're controlled, we're affected by the moon. The spirit is the air. Look it up. Spirit, breath, inspire, breath, right? The same breath that you echo your words with, that you inhale and exhale, that is the spirit. That is the spirit, and your body, right, is animated by the spirit. That's what gives you life, right? Because the spirit. And so when Jesus said, when they say God is a spirit, the air is probably the most essential element that we're dealing with. See, you could go a couple of days without water. You could go several days without food, right? Whether you have fire or not, you can survive. But how long can you survive without air? Maybe a couple of seconds, some of us. For those who probably, condition themselves, they probably go a little longer than a couple of seconds. But air, that's it. And when you have no air, you know what I mean? That's it. It's a wrap. You lose that last breath. They call it the final breath. You're out of here, because that's the spirit. The body without the spirit is dead. The spirit is the air. So we can see this. Now, when I look at the zodiac, and I try to read like make some get an understanding from what it's really saying as a big story, because it's the book of life. It's basically telling us like the different cycles that we're gonna go through as human beings, and it's a big cycle. It takes us approximately nearly 26,000 years to complete the cycle, the great cycle we call the great year, where the sun passes through all the zodiacs, right? Now, I guess you could start anywhere in the story, but I believe the story begins in Libra, right? So Libra is the law. Libra is the law. This is where, like, you get the word, like, God said be, and then it is. Let there be, and then it is, right? It's just a word. It's the law. In the beginning was the word, and the word was with God, and the word was God, and the word became. That's Libra, the law, the word, right? So we start there, or we come back there, and we build from there. So the law, the word, right, spoke the reality into existence. It was through the word, through the law, through this code, or this and the code is really our DNA, right? That's what it is. The code is in our DNA, man. The word, right? So through this code, right, that is established for life to function in an orderly fashion, right? We gave birth. Things came to be, or things were born into reality. So the word impregnated the reality, and that's where you get Virgo from. Virgo is the virgin, because you know what I mean. And she's pregnant, and it goes on, and she gives birth to Leo. Leo is the lion. The lion is the highest animal in the animal kingdom. A lot of people call it the king of the jungle. So Leo would be like when we get to our highest self, right? We get to our highest self when we in the age of Leo, right? We're like divine. This is the age. This is the time when you go back into antiquity, and you find out that people were like gods, right? Very, very high civilizations, and things that we are not even close to right now, because we're in kind of like another phase of the cycle right now. So, and I guess that's where I probably should start. I should start closer to where we are right now, because we're in Aquarius. So what happened? Let me go back to let me start from there then. Yeah, I'll start from there. All right. So we're in Aquarius. We're rebuilding. Before Aquarius we came out of Pisces, and before Pisces we came out of Aries. And Aries is a very destructive time. You know what I'm saying? Aries is when we destroy the world. I mean, we are destroying it right now, but we're rebuilding it at the same time. But Aries, when you get to Aries, and this is why we keep, like, most of the cultures can't go back beyond 6,000 years, because we destroyed everything when we got to that time frame, and all we were left with after the destruction was just relics. That's all we had, is just relics, and we're just picking up the relics now. We went into Pisces, and we've been picking up the relics and trying to piece everything back together, right? And so after the destruction, everything starts back over. And what do we start back over as? Two fishes. Yeah, a sperm and an egg swimming in the water. We start back over, right? So this is why when Christianity, when Jesus came, or according to the Christian theology, he said he came looking for what? Fishers of men, right? And the symbol for that religion, which dominated the world for the last 2,000 years, was a fish, not a cross. It was the fish. The symbol for Christianity is the fish. So we've been picking up the relics. We really don't know what happened before 6,000 years ago, because we destroyed the world when the age of Aries came. And this is why in your book, in Revelation, it tells you that the red horse, when the red horse came out, right, he was given the power to take away peace from men, so that they would kill each other, and he was given a great weapon, a great sword, right? Because Aries is Mars, and Mars is the destroyer, right? So we went from there, we got to Pisces, and we started rebuilding, we started trying to piece things back together. We came out of that age. Now we're in Aquarius. Aquarius is the flood. The flood of what? The flood of information, the flood of everything. We're in a flood right now, literally, right? But we because we're caught up in it, we can't really understand or really see the damaging effects of this deluge that we're in. We have people with so much things and still want more. They just don't have enough. It's a flood of cars, a flood of guns, even a flood of people. There's about 8 to 9 billion people now. It's a flood. We're in a flood, and we're literally drowning in this flood, right? So after you come out the flood, they're telling you that when you get to this time where everything is kind of just in abundance, in an overabundance, and most of the stuff that we have, if you really think about it, the world that we live in right now, with all these buildings and streets and everything that stretches from one end to the next, we built this in the last 500 years. Less than 500 years. I mean, it's amazing when you really think about it. It is amazing, because it's a flood. It's like, 1,000 years ago, nobody was flying, from one end of the world to the next. There was no cell phones or nothing. But less than 500 years later, you have roads that's running from every corner of this country. You have You have so many different things going. We're in a flood. So when we're in the flood, you're either gonna drown or you're gonna move to higher ground. And that's why the next sign after Aquarius is Capricorn. Capricorn is the sea goat, and he's part fish and part goat, part mountain goat, right? So the fish, the fish part, obviously he can navigate in the water. He's a mental creature, right? But he's a mountain goat. So because when you're in a flood, what you got to do, you got to get to higher ground. You have to get to higher ground. So the mountain goat, that's why it's represented with a mountain goat. And that's what we have to do right now. You know, instead of debasing ourselves in the materialism that is the flood, we need to get to our higher self. We need to get to our higher self, because when the flood waters recede, and they will recede, this is when we're going to see the damage and the destruction that the world is currently undergoing, right? So you got to get to your higher self, and that's what Capricorn represents. You got to get to the top of the mountain. Now, when you get to the top of the mountain, after all of this destruction takes place, you know, you get to Sagittarius. Sagittarius is the conqueror, which is represented in Revelation by the white horse. All right, the first horse, the four horsemen, you have a white horse that comes out, and the rider has a crown and he's carrying a bow. That's the same sign, the same symbolism for Sagittarius. And Sagittarius is the conqueror. And it's so interesting how they even tell you that this particular rider was given the power to conquer and go conquering, right? So you're gonna conquer. The world is gonna be open. Ain't gonna be no America, no Canada, no Africa. None of those things are gonna exist after this flood is over and the devastation of the world. And what's gonna be left is just, you know, territory for people to go fight over. So you're gonna go into an age of bloodshed and war. You know what I mean? That's why all these movies that they're showing is showing like, you know, apocalypse, like, you know, just destruction, like we're going into some apocalyptic phase, right? Because that's what's gonna happen, and you're gonna have to fend, and people gonna, you know, so people, conquerors are gonna basically rule the land. People are gonna go from one end of the earth or one place to another and just, you know, conquer and claim territory. Once we get out of get out of the Aquarius and out of Capricorn. So from Sagittarius, the next phase you get to is Scorpio. Scorpio is when the rulers come into the world, right? The rulers. That's why when you talk about the Scorpion kings, these are the people that's gonna come in, the emperors and the kings, and they're gonna, you know, they're gonna be the ones to kind of quell the bloodshed from the age of Sagittarius, right? They're gonna quell all the bloodshed. They're gonna organize the people. They're gonna organize, you know, and they're gonna say, well, you know, this is my realm, this is my territory, this is my kingdom, blah 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 blah. That's what's gonna happen when we get to the age of Scorpio. And after Scorpio, we get to Libra. Libra is basically the law, or in ancient Egypt, they call Libra Mayat. A lot of people was talking about Mayat, but I guarantee you, when that age comes, or when that time comes, you know, if you're not willing to submit, you're not gonna like it, because it's gonna be a very restrictive time. It's gonna be a time where, you know, you're not gonna be able to just do whatever you want to do. Mayat represents balance and order. And order is you know, it's gonna bring everything everybody and everything into under discipline. So you're not just gonna be running around here, you know, doing all this madness that we're doing right now. You're either gonna submit or you're gonna be killed. You know, this is when you read about in the Old Testament where they were stoning people to death and everything. That's the kind of system that's gonna be established as men begin to organize themselves back into civilization, which is what the law is going to do. The law is going to bring us back into civilization, bring us back into a peaceful state. And once we have law and order again, then we'll get back our virtue, which is what comes after Libra, Virgo, right? And out of that virtue, we give birth to our higher self, which is Leo, the king. You see how the story is unfolding? So, you know, and when you get to Leo, you at like the highest, right? Because Leo represents like the sun in like summer. And summer is when the sun is like at its summit, its highest point. And it's so interesting that right after Leo, the next thing is Cancer. Cancer is not only the lowest animal it's the animal at the bottom. You have to meditate. I don't really, have too much books to tell you you need to go read. I meditate on and I think we have to get back to that because a lot of the books are wrong, brother. Our sister Mistress KTB, a lot of the books are definitely wrong. So don't be afraid to go meditate and you'll be surprised how much you already know, how much information is already stored within your DNA inside of your cells that you can unlock through meditation. You know what I mean? I don't really have any books to tell you that you should go read. I just, like a lot of this stuff is I just meditate and I get the understanding. So you go from Leo to Cancer, and Cancer is a crab. Crab is not only a small tiny animal. It's at the bottom of the ocean floor. So it's telling you that man is gonna fall. He's gonna fall from this high place to this low place, right? And then after man falls, right, through maybe plagues or disease or whatever, something is going to happen, which is what I believe Cancer represents. It represents like the plagues or death, right? Then the next thing that pops up is Gemini, which is two people. So Gemini is telling you that basically the population is going to start to grow again, because this is the only time you see two people in the zodiac. The population is growing again. You understand what I'm saying? And then we go to Taurus, and Taurus represents like this time of materialism, where we're going to get back into materialism and earthly possessions, right? We're going to get back into wealth, and that's why you read about it in the Bible. They talk about the golden calf. They're talking about the age of Taurus. You understand what I'm saying? That wealth, and that's why on Wall Street you have that bull, and they even call it like that when you're making a lot of money, and the market is going up. They say it's bullish, right? So that's Taurus, right? Taurus, when you get to Taurus, we're gonna have a lot of money and a lot of wealth, and it's just crazy. But Taurus is like the fatted calf, right? And who's waiting for the fatted calf? Aries is waiting for him. Aries is the wolf, and Aries is gonna consume that calf. It's gonna kill everybody. Aries is when we go from Taurus to the age of Aries, it's war. All out war. We nuked this planet already. That's why you have so many deserts. That's why you have so many places where you don't have no life. Because we've nuked we nuclear weapons and some of the technology that we are coming back into is not new. They're not new. We had these technologies before. And a lot of our technology is buried under the sand. A lot of it is buried under the water, and a lot of it is just not being revealed by people who are in possession of it, and it's not being released, and all it's probably for the best, because we see what we do with the technology that we currently have. You know what I'm saying? Even though we know that these weapons can kill everybody, everybody's still trying to harbor them. So the Zodiac is telling you a big story. It's telling you the story of what we're gonna go through as a civilization. And it happens on small scales and happen on large scale. So we're going through these ages not only when we call them, like we're saying we're in the age of Aquarius right now, but we're still going through all the other ages in our everyday life. You know what I mean? Through different phases and in different ways. So, but when we get to the large part, and what an age is, let me explain what an age is, so people understand, because an age is basically calculated by dividing the total year, the total great year of 25,920 years by the 12 signs. And you get about 2,160 years. And that's exactly what an age is. An age lasts for 2,160 years. So we'll be in the age of Aquarius for 2,160 years. Now, when the ages begin and when they end is a whole different story. Everybody has their own interpretation or own understanding, I guess. And like some people believe that the age of Aquarius began in 2012, right? because they believe that's when the age of Pisces ended. But I have a different understanding. I believe that in nature everything overlaps. Just like your life didn't begin after your parents' life ended. There's an overlap. Your parents had to be here, right? Your mother and your father had to be here, and then you came through them. So I believe that if you look at how nature structures things, there's a principle that they follow called the Pareto principle, or the 80-20 principle, right? Which says that 20% of your action will give you 80% of your result, right? And 80% of your action only give you 20% of your results. It's just another way to say, look, just understand that if you really want to be successful, just find the thing that you're really good at. And so instead of doing 10 different things and only getting 20% of result, just find that one thing and you might get you get 80% of your result that you're looking for. So nature is the same way. So I believe that when an age is 80% complete, the next age begins. And this is why I believe that when you look at the current world we're in, it's only been about 500 years, this civilization that we're currently living in, only about 500 years, and look at how much stuff we've done. Oh, give thanks, we you enjoy the movie. So it's only about 500 years, because the age of Aquarius really began, I believe, in around 1580 or sometime in the 1600s. You know what I mean? And we are already 20% through that age. So the destruction, the devastation of like all the stuff we've done. We've killed off so many animals. We've wiped out so many indigenous people, trees, and erosion. And the weather now is acting crazy because the flood waters are going to start receding. And it's crazy because like all it would take is just like a EMP or a solar flare or something, and then boom. And then people are going to begin to see what the world really is, what we've made it into, all the devastation, because we want more shoes than we have feet for. We want more cars than we can drive. We want more houses than we can live in. We want, we just want. And we just can't get it get into our minds that, some of this stuff is just, we're just mentally crazy when you need to think about it. We work so hard to buy the things that we build with our own mind. We make the things, and then we are here killing ourselves to buy them back, to slave for them, to become, and all we need to do is just come together in a unified sense and realize, look, we don't have to be slaves, right? Because the end of the day, you think that you can't do without money, but money, you don't need money. I mean, I'm just being real. You don't really need money. Money is just used as an incentive to get you to do a lot of things that you can do without it. And you do things every day that you can do, whether you get money for them or not. So I would say, first thing first, understand the elements: water, earth, wind, and fire. Understand that you are the embodiment of all these elements. Your body is the earth, right? You speak with the air. You cry with the water, right? And your energy is the fire. The energy that allows you to get up and move about and do everything that you do, that is the fire. That's why you can yawn or blow into your hand and you feel that heat, because energy, you understand? That's your soul. You get that. That's the heat coming from your soul, from your solar. You call it even your solar plexus or whatever, right? All these different things, all these different terminologies, they're not by accident. So clean up your water, and you clean up your mind. The reason why we want freedom is because the dam is blocked up. What is the dam? The dam is blocking up your water, your mind. So you want to free your dam. Not, it's freedom, but it's free dam. You turn that O into an A, and you realize this is a dam. You need to unblock your dam. You need to free the dam, free the water up so it could flow, right? So you can think freely. You could think more, creatively, think more consciously. You understand what I'm saying? You have to, don't pollute your spirit. Don't be careful with the smoking stuff. We got to cut that out because, the spirit, cleanliness is next to godliness. And if the spirit is God, and God not going to dwell anywhere where, you have filth and pollution. And you have to understand that's what we're doing. We're polluting ourselves. I'm about 15 minutes, 15 seconds out. So I just want to say peace. Thank y'all for listening, man. And until next time. All right. One love.